Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Lifetime Adoptions Q&A for hopeful adoptive parents. I'm Kim King, and I'm here with Heather Featherston, and we're so happy that you've chosen to spend some of your precious time with us as you consider your options and next steps on your adoption path and learn as much as you can so you can make informed decisions as you enter into the world of adoption or perhaps start a new chapter, as maybe you've been in the adoption world for a while and just have some questions and maybe are looking to find a fresh start, change course a little bit. There are so many paths to adoption, so many paths to just growing your family, especially for families these days, between medical options, all the options that families have, let alone the many paths to successfully adopting. Here at Lifetime, our main focus and what we specialize in is private domestic adoption in the U.S. So we work nationwide with birth moms and adoptive parents all across the country, and we've had great success in finding wonderful matches for everyone that really and truly meet the needs of each party. Every adoptive family has their own set of preferences or criteria that they need us to keep in mind when we're searching for a match. And birth moms have their preferences too, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about that today because we certainly have a wealth of experience when it comes to birth moms. But before we jump in too far, I want to make sure that if you're new to Lifetime and you haven't filled out your application yet, you should know that it's a-okay to do that no matter where you are in your process, just contemplating the adoption option or a little further down the road, maybe already thinking about your home study. You might be someone brand new to adoption that's going, what's a home study? Is it they look at my house? What is this? What's involved? So we can talk about that too. Our application here at Lifetime is always free. It's at lifetimeadoption.com. It's free by design. That is our intention from our founder, Marty Caldwell. Her heart for adoptive parents is to really help you become informed, educated, and get a guided step-by-step approach to your adoption plan, and only partner with Lifetime if we truly feel we can be successful, that we feel there's a realistic expectation of success in a timely manner for you in our program. And we are completing over 100 adoptions a year here at Lifetime Adoption. So we have a lot of experience in identifying those families that we feel we can have a great partnership with, that we see birth moms on a regular basis looking for a family like yours and that fit within the preferences that you have. So when you apply, then it should take about 15 minutes. It's all online. Just upload your latest photo and then you'll hear from our applications coordinator, Becky, and she'll let you know she's preparing your application to get reviewed, and maybe then we'll schedule a phone or video conference. If you are new to a Lifetime, just filling out the application, maybe you'd like some information, feel free to email me. My email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. We have a great infographic which spells out all the steps in order as to how to go about adopting, because I know that the process is a huge question that families have when they're just getting started. I need to just know all about the process. So be sure to fill out your application. Email me if you want specific details such as about the fee, the cost of the total cost of adopting, that infographic, general information about Lifetime Adoption. Feel free to email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. If you already have a coordinator here, be sure to keep in touch with her so that you can get questions answered and she can be apprised of where your adoption plans sit for you at the moment. And Heather, thank you so much for being with us. And we're excited to dive on into some of these questions that we got on the registration and other questions that listeners may have live, which you can put your questions, comments, feedback in the questions box. So please be sure to blurt those questions out. No question is too big, too small, or too weird, because if you've got that question, there are probably many other families that are wondering the same thing. So feel free to type away on your questions, big or small.
Great.
So, Heather, first of all, families wanted to know what's a home study. And I know that we talk about this a lot. And we certainly, if you go on our blog at lifetimeadoption.com, we have a wonderful blog for adoptive parents that our creatives team, Heidi, is wonderful. And we have many contributing writers on the blog for adoptive parents. We have a separate one for birth moms, so you're welcome to check that out. But in the adoptive parents blog, you can actually search for the topic home study, and there are some really encouraging and helpful blog posts all about the adoption home study. And essentially, the home study is to make sure you meet your state's minimum requirements. It
Hmm.
does involve a home visit, but Heather, there are a few other things involved as well, right?
There are. It's really more of a people study. You will have someone local you'll work with. You fill out a lot of information about you, your history, statistics, your upbringing. You will get some background checks, medical check, provide maybe your last tax return, and then someone will meet with you in person. They won't do a white glove test of your home. It's more just about, ensuring your home is a safe place for children. It does not have to be baby proofed. They'll give you tips on baby proofing and just, really ensure that you are ready and able to adopt a child. They will also provide some education, may require you to attend some education. Usually that's online. And it a lot of I've heard in the past a lot of families really nervous. They don't come in and open your closets. It's really just, looking around. If your state requires that adoptive parents have a gate around a pool, for example, they will inform you of that. So it's really just looking at the requirements of the state, ensuring that you fit into those so that they can then certify you as ready and prepared to adopt. One thing that most states require after you do bring a child home is your home study provider will come and do some post placement visits with you. Here in Florida, it's three, usually 1 month apart. Different states have different requirements, but again, that may be in person, it may be via Zoom, but they just want to check in, see how everything is going, offer any resources if you've found that you may need some help in a certain area. So it's really like I say, a lot of people think it's just that beginning part, but it does carry throughout the process. If you have job changes or move to a different home or add on to your home, you'll have to update your home study, but that's simple. Just calling, letting your provider know, and they can go ahead and get that updated.
Right. So, and if you'd like to talk a little bit more about the home study, just feel free to reach out to us. You can call, text, or email us. The phone number here is 727-493-0933, and we're open till 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you leave a message, we'll get back to you. Or again, just email me, or if you already have a coordinator, be sure to get in touch with her. If you have any lingering questions or even concerns, Heather, I think it's normal for families to be like, are my dogs going to prevent me from getting a home study? Or like the fact that I got a speeding ticket. Typically, no, but we can talk a little bit more just to give you
Right.
that assurance that you
You
need.
bet.
And sometimes if there are a little more serious concern, like a serious medical thing, like maybe you're currently undergoing treatment for cancer, you may need to work with a social worker. Or if
Uh-huh.
something's going to pop up on your home study, remember it's a deeper background check. It's a level 2. So anything and everything is going to pop up, not just the things that, let's say, a typical employer would find. It's going to be anything and everything that's ever been filed
Hmm.
will pop up. So the social worker is going to talk with you about that. And, if there are serious concerns like a felony or something, it's good to talk to a home study provider, although with a felony, it's typically not going to be approved. So if you've got concerns about that, let us know. We know every family is coming from a very different place. Heather, over 95% of our adoptions here at Lifetime, or roughly in the high 90s, are newborn adoptions. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that is because it is. I hate to use the word easier, but I'm going to. It's easier for a mother to place a child for adoption she's never met versus
Mm,
one that she knows. And
yeah.
and if you stop and think about that a little bit, it starts to make sense. You know, a newborn baby, sweet, beautiful. Everybody loves a baby, but there's the the challenge of, you don't know them. There may be a connection, but it's not as deep a connection as a child you've parented for a few years. Also, this is really when mothers are making the decision about what's best for them. And I will say it is much easier to choose adoption for an unexpected or unplanned pregnancy than to look at your 3-year-old and think about placing that child for adoption. So it's not just at lifetime our numbers are that high. It really is across the board. Most adoptions are private adoptions are babies.
Yep, that's right. So, of course, if you're on the international adoption path, most likely the youngest age is like 6 months old because that adoption just takes longer when you're orchestrating everything between two entire countries.
Mhm.
Versus here within the US, where a birth mom chooses you, Lifetime does all the screening and support and gets all the medical records going. You're even in contact with each other. Maybe you've had a video chat or you're texting with birth mom. We're all kind of flowing together on this path as we approach that due date. And Lifetime is orchestrating everything with that hospital in her state, and you're booking your travel plans, and
Mhm.
you travel to that state just like if you were traveling anywhere else, and the hospital already knows you and that you're there at her request, the birth
Mhm.
mom or their patient's request, which is a really big deal for hospitals. The way we orchestrate, I just want to say I love the way we orchestrate our adoptions with hospitals because people who have never seen an adoption like this or with Lifetime are shocked at how smoothly it can go.
Right. Right. In
Yep.
fact, we've had a few adoptions this in March that were the type of adoptions that we hear from a hospital social worker calling us to say, you know what, we have a mom who just delivered. She wants to do adoption. How can you help us? And those are they're super exciting for our staff, and of course they kind of take the breath away of the adoptive family that that the birth mom chooses. Usually, even from a hospital last minute, often the birth mom will choose. It's pretty rare that she does not choose the family, but she can fill out the questionnaire to get started right on her phone, or we can fax it over. We can send her text links of waiting lifetime families, and the incorporation of video with Lifetime's profiles is so key because right there she can see, hear, within 2 minutes she has an idea of who these people are. So it
Mhm.
is just so powerful. And when she's ready, sometimes they want to talk to the family. Sometimes like, nope, I like that one. You can just send them to the hospital. That's when a coordinator will call the family and let them know, we have a mom, she just delivered, she's chosen you. How quickly can you get to, you know, Florida? How quickly can you get to, wherever it is that she's at? And like I say, those calls usually it's the first minute with a family is a bit of silence because it takes your breath away. And but then we get the logistics going, and it just it's an awesome thing. We had one of them last month was about 30 minutes from our office. So Christy, one of our birth mother coordinators, was able to go up meet with birth mom, um, and be there when the family got there too. So it just is amazing, and it is coordinated. To your point, Kim, it may feel last minute and rushed for the adoptive parents because they have to drop what they're doing and head out, but by the same token, it is a coordinated process.
Yeah, and I think it kind of correlates to, if you were having a baby biologically and you suddenly went into labor, this is
Mhm.
your moment where you
Mhm.
kind of get that experience a little bit,
Right.
where you're suddenly putting everything, all your plans are springing into action,
Mhm.
and you're grabbing your bag because you're going to have a bag packed. We have lots of webinars for our
Mhm.
lifetime families that are contracted with us that talk all about how to prepare for travel, how to prepare for all the different scenarios. And the wonderful thing about domestic adoption is that you're just waiting for clearance from that state to be able to come home. You're not working with two different countries. So
Right.
and another thing about domestic adoption is that with private domestic adoption, meaning not through the foster system.
Mhm.
So private adoption essentially, for the most part, just means that a birth mom is voluntarily choosing adoption.
Mhm.
And Heather, that changes everything, where her heart is, what her intentions are for that child, some of her choices that she'll make throughout her pregnancy. It really changes everything in a very positive way, and it enables more opportunity for a positive connection and relationship with that adoptive family. Jessica was asking how common is closed adoption, and I saw a statistic that said something like, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it was like under 5% of
Oh
adoptions
yeah.
these days in the US are closed. I think it was like only 3% are closed where no one knows each other.
Mhm.
So there is such a spectrum with open adoption. And Heather, you're really great at just explaining the essence of open adoption.
Sure.
So yeah, share with us.
So, open adoption, it really is. I like you use the word spectrum. It
Hmm.
really kind of can eh, can ebb and flow with every situation. It really starts with the birth mother choosing a family and talking to them and getting to know them. And then her choices kind of bloom into, okay, let's talk about the type of contact we all want after adoption. And it's a conversation. At Lifetime, we're only able to help families who are open to an open adoption because it has been proven now that it is in the best interest of the child. Um, it 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 can look different over time and with relationship. As a birth mother and adoptive parents start talking on the phone, maybe video conferencing, they get to know each other. Often we hear this relationship described as like a fast friendship, or like we have so much in common. We feel like we should be related. Those are the things we often hear, not in every case, but in many cases, because when the birth mother is looking at prospective adoptive parents for her baby, she's looking for a connection. She's looking for something in common. She's looking for something. So it's not terribly shocking that when they do get together and talk on the phone, suddenly they find that there is a lot in common, or that they have things or interests that are similar. So, in planning for the future, most birth mothers want to have at least ongoing contact that may include getting together for a visit once a year. And a lot of people are nervous and scared, and I understand that because we're talking about building a relationship with someone you've never met. But once you get to know someone a little, suddenly that scariness goes away because you start realizing this is someone who could parent. To be honest, most of the birth parents we work with, they could parent. They're choosing adoption because they're choosing to provide their child with more than they can right now. So it's not this push pull between, parents. It really is birth parents who are choosing you, who are placing this child in your arms, and who want to maintain a connection to the child, yes, but often they really want to maintain that connection with you because they've
Hmm.
built this. They are thoughtfully making these adoption plans. So uh, post adoption contact typically looks like staying in touch. It could be through text messaging, it could be through phone calls, emails, social media connections. And like I mentioned, getting together for a visit once a year. Those first few years, it's really about the parents because you can't have really a deep relationship with a 6 month old. So it's really about the parents building their connection together. In fact, we just did had a private webinar. We have webinars like this for waiting families with Lifetime. We do them twice a month, and we just had an adoptive mom and the birth mother who placed with her, and the adoption took place 20 years ago. And they joined us to share their relationship and their fun and they have such a close relationship because of the child, but it's also separate from, I mean, he's 20 years old now, so he's not really a child, but they have this deep relationship, almost like an extended family relationship that started because of him. So it's kind of hard to describe, because you never know. And that's what I hear from adoptive parents over and over again. We didn't know adoption could be like this. And birth mothers say the same thing. I didn't know adoption could be like this, because it really is a enriching, deepening relationship that often no one really was expecting. Now, is every adoption like that? No. There are occasionally birth mothers who um, are less involved. Often they are, they are struggling with addiction. Um, they may be struggling with a lot of different things. So sometimes those adoptions are less, I'm not want to say less open, because the family is open to being in contact, but it may be the birth mother who's not. It's not that she doesn't want it, it's just that she may not be in a place that is healthy for her, or she is healthy enough to maintain that.
Yes, and I think overall what you can expect if you have an open adoption plan with birth mom is that that's going to ebb and flow because life circumstances happen. What if she gets in a new relationship and
Mhm.
they're working toward marriage and she's trying to figure out how she's going to share this part of her history, her story, with this new guy? Or maybe she has children that are getting to the age where they're going to start to notice
Mhm.
her open adoption connection, and maybe she's not sure how to navigate that. Now, I will say these days, it's been so fun and exciting to see the updates that we get from adoptive parents.
Mhm.
Certainly, they're under no obligation to keep sending us these wonderful updates. But I just love like the birthday parties at the swimming pool where like
Mhm.
the birth family came out, they were invited, they came out, and like all the siblings are together, biological siblings are all
Mhm.
together. Like
Mhm.
maybe the adoptive family adopted two children and like some of the half biological or full biological siblings are all there, but they all have this common bond because they have a love for this child. And this child just gets to have so many more people in their corner in life.
Right.
And in this world today, you can't have enough of that.
Mhm.
I like to say, Heather, that we all kind of started to understand why open adoption was important. Like
Mhm.
back in the 80s,
Mhm.
when a new generation of birth moms started to emerge, where they couldn't imagine going through something like what they had heard of
Right.
in the 60s, 70s, and
Mhm.
earlier, where they were expected to give birth and never think about this child ever again, and that the child would be better off never knowing of their adoption or her.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, it was kind of like that back in the
Right.
day.
Right.
And birth moms started to express this desire to just know that they made the right choice and that their child was okay. And that's originally why we started to value open adoption because of the birth mom
Mhm.
and her heart and understanding the mental health aspect. And then we started to notice cases right here within Lifetime where the medical information became vital,
Right.
literally vital for that child. And without that connection with birth mom, adoptive parents were really stuck in some difficult situations. So
Mhm.
adoptive parents started to value it. And now there are literally studies that show that the biggest benefits are to the child,
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
child not to have this burden of not knowing and have to wonder and like how to broach this with my mom and dad. Like, I want to meet my birth mom or I have questions. When
Right.
you watch interviews of like adolescent, adoptees, they often share concern about the impact of their just innocent curiosity,
Mhm.
how that would impact their relationship with their mom and dad who adopted them because they
Mhm.
don't want to come across as ungrateful. They're empathetic to their adoptive parents, mom and dad, the only mom and dad most likely they've ever known. So how wonderful is it that adoptive parents can take that burden off of their child's shoulders
Mhm.
and just manage that connection from birth
Right.
between them and the birth mom? The child just grows up with that, in the
Mhm.
background of their life, and it's something they've always known and are comfortable with. And they know they have a tummy mommy that chose adoption for them, and
Right.
that she didn't abandon them because she didn't love them or anything like that,
Mhm.
but that she chose a mom and dad to take care of them in the way that she wasn't able. And there's just such a beautiful way of sharing that child's adoption story with positive adoption language.
Mhm.
And certainly we have some great open adoption information that we can send you if you're interested. I think it's definitely worth a piece of your pie when it comes to the research you're doing, not only into how to fund adoption, not only into the process of home study and creating a profile and finding the right agency partner, but also understanding adoption from an open adoption perspective.
Mhm.
Let me know if you'd like to receive that. You can email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. When you email me to request information, if you don't mind just putting your first and last name, what state you're in, and then let me know what if you just want general information, open adoption information, all of the above, anything, everything. Let me know so I can get that over to you. And if you missed the beginning of our webinar, we want to thank you for being with us and encourage you to fill out the application that we offer online for free. It's at lifetimeadoption.com. It does not commit you to working with Lifetime. It does not actually commit you to adoption.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not an official start in writing of your adoption pursuit. It's an exploration into whether or not adoption is the right fit and Lifetime as well. So you're welcome to fill that out. Here's another question from Alan. Thank you for your patience. We've currently completed our home study. We're waiting to get matched with a birth mom. How often should we update our adoption profile photos?
Oh. Well, we usually suggest probably every 9 months.
Yeah,
If you're not getting uh any I don't want to say any,
activity.
yeah, any activity. If you are, then perhaps not. But if you're not, it's always good to really change that up probably every 9 months or so. But one of the tips that I often give is don't wait to update your photos till it's time to update your photos. Always be taking photos with that in mind. And if you've done a profile, you may already find yourself doing that. But it's important if you're doing something, think, oh, you know what, this would be great in our profile. Um, I will say too many people uh, try to build a profile for adoption by starting with their cell phone and just going through, oh yeah, here's a picture. Oh, look at this. And then they get down to, oh look, here at Christmas we have like 6 really good pictures. And that's nothing new. That's how it's always been. Probably one of the best tips that lifetime families learn in our program is not what birth mothers are looking for, what birth mothers are looking for in pictures, although you learn both of those. But the biggest tip is you have to take photos for your adoption profile. You should not be scrolling through your phone and filling your profile with those. You need to be intentional about the photos you're taking because you do want to be sharing your life with women who are considering adoption. At Lifetime, that's a big part. We have Kelly and Libby who work one-on-one with families and really have developed throughout the years our whole profile guidelines and programs, and that's something that's always changing based on birth mother feedback. Some of the things that we said or recommended with profiles a few years ago are completely different than now because we are continually modifying and updating as we're getting different feedback. In fact, we just made some great changes to our family pages on our website based solely on birth mother feedback.
hmm And at Lifetime, we're hearing from new birth moms every day. They're busy on our texting feature that they can initiate through our website,
Mhm.
calling in. Sometimes, Heather, birth moms are going ahead to just fill out their complete paperwork
Mhm.
with us right there on
Mhm.
the site and then text us to say, hey, I filled it out. What's my next step?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
that's really exciting. And that just goes to like the infrastructure and technology that we have here at Lifetime
Mhm.
that has really come so far in the last well, since 1986,
Mhm.
thousands of adoptions, and just being really excited to embrace technology
Mhm.
um, when it comes to making things easier for everyone. And the heart of what we're here for, the intentions and the support for birth moms, that has not changed ever. But the technology makes things so much easier. So the fact that she can go on and fill that out, we don't have to wait for something in the mail. We can text her those links to profiles and they can look at your video right there on the spot, whether she's not due for 6 more months or she's already laying in a hospital bed about
Mhm.
to give birth, or Heather, sometimes, and I've gotten several of these calls just happening to answer the phone on our hotline,
Mhm.
they're just like in the parking lot of a
Right.
hospital about to go in to have the baby and
Yeah.
want to initiate an adoption plan. Several of those calls. So they can be anywhere in the process. And I just love how Marty and you, Heather, have just always had that focus on how can we make this easier for people to get through their steps and connect and get the adoption plan in place that meets everyone's needs.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So, well, thank you, everyone. If you have questions on your mind that didn't get answered today, please don't let those linger unanswered. Get those over to us, fill out your application. You can even request information on our website or just email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com, if you don't have a coordinator already or aren't sure if you have one. Just reach out and we'll get you connected. And again, we want to thank you for choosing to spend some of your time with us on this little mini webinar. I think these are great, Heather, that we get to answer these questions that are on
Mhm.
people's minds and share a little bit about what we're seeing here in our adoptions
Mhm.
here at Lifetime.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.